Holy crap, you guys. It's been like a fucking month?
It's been like a month without any episodes or recording or anything.
I know. It was kind of sad too. I miss interacting with everybody.
Yeah, I missed it, and I miss hearing everyone's feedback, like after they watch the episode and stuff. So I guess we should tell people about what happened.
Yeah, let's talk about why we've been absent for about a month.
So we recorded last in January.
Yeah.
And then shortly after the final episode that we had aired, we had plans to record, and I got really, really sick.
The day of. It was the morning of you texting me because you were supposed to come down here and we were supposed to record.
I FaceTimed you on Monday.
FaceTimed, yes.
Just
you're
telling
like,
you,
dude, I'm not doing good at all. Like, and here's the thing. If you don't know my sister personally, you would know that she is not one to take medicine. She does not want to go to the hospital. She is literally would fight out until the very end because she hates going to the hospital so much. And she's like, never, even when she is sick, I've never heard you complain about you being sick.
Yeah.
So for you to be like, dude, I am down and out for the count. You're like, I can't even make it down there.
I'm really good at pushing through like my headaches and all of that stuff. But I woke up Tuesday and I was Monday was really bad. I just kind of felt, my body just felt like I got hit by a truck, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't until Monday evening, my husband came home with some medicine and a thermometer because we didn't have one. And he checked my temperature and it was 102, I think.
Jesus.
And I fought through the night and I didn't make a deal of it. The next day though, I just went completely downhill, and really, really long story short, I ended up getting COVID pneumonia, which
that's like the worst.
It honestly was so horrific. Like I still am kind of like one of those people that like COVID never really scared me. I wasn't one to like, I still go on my outings and I would do as much as we could given the, restrictions. I kind of pushed the boundary of the restrictions a little bit.
I feel like it wasn't that you weren't so much taking it seriously as it was just like anything else. It's like those things don't happen to us though. It's not going to happen to us. It happens to everybody.
If I get sick, then like
I'll recover. I'll
push through it. I'm young, relatively healthy. I don't see a reason why I should be totally scared. It wasn't like I was in my 60s with, other underlying conditions.
You weren't in the age risk group.
Yeah. Right? And so when I got COVID pneumonia, it completely just like knocked me off. When I say knocked me off my feet, I mean like literally.
Knocked you off your feet and put you on your ass.
Yeah, I couldn't. It was so bad. Like I couldn't breathe. When I mean I couldn't breathe, I mean like I literally was gasping for air, like looking at my husband in the eyes, just begging him to help me, and he could do nothing.
When you said you were going to the hospital, because you went twice to the hospital.
I went 3 times.
3 times. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Like you understand, like you would give birth at home if it wasn't because you like had C-sections. Yeah, if you hate hospitals so much. Like when you said you were going in and you went in multiple times, I was like, fuck, she must be feeling like shit.
Yeah, the first time I went in is when they told me I had COVID pneumonia, and I was just feeling really bad at that point, but my breathing was fine. Then I had my telehealth appointment, and she said that, when your oxygen gets below, a certain level, go in. But she had given me like a high-ish number. So my oxygen was dipping below 94. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, that means I have to. Mind you, I was having trouble breathing too. At that point, I was only having trouble breathing when I would be up and moving, or like if I was laying down and sitting up, any movement.
Interesting.
I just couldn't breathe. And so went into the hospital. They gave me some breathing treatments, and then I was feeling much better. And then the next day, and then the next few days after that, I ended up getting admitted because of low oxygen. I was in the hospital for just under
4 or 5 days.
5 days, just under 5 days. I think
that was really
5 days.
Scary because you really had a breakdown in the hospital. I know that. Like you were just feeling like shit.
And then the worst thing
good.
too was like
sleep.
We sent the kids with my parents, and as soon as I thought I was, I was getting really sick, and it just really sucked that I wasn't able to see the kids. I wasn't able to see my husband. Nobody could visit you, obviously. And like, I don't know. It was really sad and depressing. And the day that I was supposed to get the release the day before Annabelle's birthday. And I really wanted to wake up at home and like, see her on her birthday. Yeah. And so I was completely depressed. And then of course they give me some news that I have a heart condition now. I was like, wait, what?
I know. And then to find out you have like some
but
sort
that
of
was also the
condition.
day. That was the day that I was supposed to go home. And so I was super depressed and I wasn't able to go home. And now something's wrong with my heart. And like, it's just like a lot of little things. I completely lost it. Luckily, I was able to go home early afternoon on Annabelle's birthday. So I did get to spend most of it, even though I slept most of it. Just because when I got home from the hospital, you don't sleep in the hospital.
Yeah, because you have people constantly waking up to check on you.
Oh my God, it's horrible. But yeah, I'm 100% better now. I feel great. I haven't had any shakes or symptoms. My breathing's been fine. We even went to the safari park a couple days ago.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. I met your friend Kaylee. She was freaking cool, man.
Yeah, she's so cool.
Dude, that's insane. Okay, so I'm terrified, and I'm not like you in the sense of like from the beginning, maybe because Julio's told me stories and stuff and he worked in the COVID ICU.
You know what it is? I have more of a YOLO mentality.
No, I'm freaking terrified after hearing some of those stories that Julio told me this story one time, and actually this one like breaks my fucking heart, which is like, it's like the thing of like, even though like you said you weren't in the like risk group or whatever, any of those risk groups or whatever, it goes to show you like why we should all like just do our part at the very least.
Yeah, for sure.
So Julio said that there was this patient that he had, and he was admitted to the ICU. He was like 24 years old. He was a young kid. He had gone to Vegas to party when they opened up. Oh. And he was like, you know, just same thing. He's in college. He's young. He's like, if I get it, I'll recover. I'll be fine. But what happened was he thought I'll be fine. He came home. He gave it to his 40-something-year-old mother. They both ended up in the hospital. He was not doing good. So when he finally kind of like, you got over the hump and they were getting ready to release him, because he kept asking how his mother was. Because this whole time, Julio's like, you could tell he's feeling like shit because he knows
he gave it to her.
His mom ended up passing away from COVID. And they had to deliver the news. And he goes, he wanted to kill himself. Yeah, he wanted to die. He's like, holy fuck. Like,
you feel like
you may have been fine, but.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we were really strict about Ethan quarantining those 14 days. And it was just.
That really sucked because I was like, I felt like the entire time you were there, dude, like it was so hard because I was telling Julio, I was like, I legit like was crying the first day you were admitted because obviously I'm thinking like the worst. Because you hear these horror
stories too. And the first day I was admitted, they put me on oxygen. They literally, Ethan drops me off on the curb. I had a complete, I think it was slight panic attack, but also led to really low oxygen because of the panic attack too. Because I knew they were going to admit me. I knew it because my oxygen crystal, I woke up and I walked to the bathroom. Ethan and I was sleeping in separate rooms. Ethan only came in and he came in with the mask every time. We were trying to stay as far separated as possible. I went to the bathroom. I legit was screaming. The little oxygen I had was screaming for help. I just couldn't breathe, and I put the thing Julio got me. Yeah, I put on my finger, and my oxygen dipped to 79. Oh my god, Crystal! And I screamed it's for Ethan, post-ox. And then that just like,
dude, see, this is like the thing. When you got admitted, I knew, like, I know it seemed like the whole time, like I was just very like, okay, what do you need? Very supportive, like you're chill, trying to keep it as normal as possible. And that was the other thing Julio kept telling me too. He's like, text her, don't call her, because if she's having trouble breathing, she's not going to be able to talk.
Yeah, I tried calling mom a few times to talk to the kids, but as soon as because I was fine breathing and talking for a second, but after like maybe 2 minutes of talking, even if it was like pausing and talking, I would have like a cough attack, which would make my breathing worse. As soon as I would get to that cough attack stage, I'd have to just I didn't even say bye, I just hung up. Yeah, because I don't want the kids to hear me. I don't want to freak anyone out either.
He's like, I know you want to call her, and that's your way of being there for her, like FaceTiming her. He's like, but you understand, it's like if she can't breathe, she can't talk. So the best thing you can do for her is rest. Just text her, and she'll text you back.
That's what they told me in the hospital.
And I kept telling him, I was like, dude, like, when you got admitted the first day, I was bawling my eyes out so bad at the house. It was so fucking bad. I was literally so terrified for my life because you hear all the things about people getting in. They're like, God, it was bad. But I pushed through it or whatever. Yeah. But like the stories are always like, if you get into that hospital, you don't come out.
Or like they're going to intubate. And then intubating leads to this and intubating leads to that. Yeah.
We had just lost a ton of people to COVID. Julio's best friend lost his dad to COVID. We were just coming off the heels of that. And then this happens. I was legit freaking out. It was awful. Yeah. I like in our group texts and stuff, I was being the more calm one. Because I wasn't trying to make the situation worse.
Not just that, but like I don't think I could have handled, because I was already
everybody
super
freaking
scared.
out.
I was terrified because as soon as I got there, obviously they put me on oxygen, but that night I declined really bad. They had me on 6 liters of oxygen, and then the nurse even comes in. She's like, "You are too young. Like we got to start to try to."
Oh my god, hearing that? Oh my god, like
it just is scary. And I don't think I could have handled anybody crying in my face.
I could only imagine like how freaked out. I know I would have been, because you right away as a mother start thinking the worst. Like, who the fuck am I leaving my kids to? Oh my God, my kids are going to be without a mother. So obviously I'm going there. I'm freaking out. Practically had a fucking panic attack. Julio's right there talking me through it and giving me the statistics. Yeah. So, giving me his word. Like, this is going to be okay. This is going to be fine. She's going to push through. This is what we can do. Yeah. So I was like, the best thing I could do is just like make your life a little bit easier. That's why I was like going over the top for Annabelle, getting all her things. Yeah.
And that's all I wanted. I was honestly, like, that made it 10 times better.
Dude, it just sucks so bad, because I was like, the only thing we could do there is be for her, and we can't even be there. Like, you have to be alone. At least some of us could like rotate. If we could just rotate, I would feel like so much better. That really, really fucking sucked.
Yeah, I could tell everyone was trying to do what they could. I mean, everyone kind of picked up the slack.
Oh my God. Yeah. This is just like one of those things where like it makes me so fearful, which is crazy. Speaking of that, where you talk about who you're gonna leave your kids to and stuff like that. Having those conversations. Like Ola and I were just talking to mom about this not too long ago. Actually, the day of the party, and I forgot what the hell how it came up, but we were talking about how him and I
these are like, real things you need to talk about.
We have to talk about it. We wrote it down on a piece of paper, and then like we're gonna do like a recording of ourselves so that way it's in my phone and I can probably like send it to you. And like I'll send it to his mom and everybody else too, just so you guys have it, so that everybody knows like our wishes or whatever, and just keep it, save it, just because we do have children, and if something like that were to happen, it makes you think. It makes you think.
It really does, and honestly, I'm happy that everything turned out fine. My husband did get it too, but he was like as healthy as possible. And then he was more upset about the fact that he couldn't taste his IPAs, and I'm like. Yo, hi, I'm in the hospital with
fighting for air.
Like, come on. Like, he's just like, he calls me like the day before I got released. He's like, you won't believe what just happened. I'm like, what? And he's like, I literally drank an IPA right now and I tasted nothing. And I was like, my cannula in my nose. I'm like, that's your biggest worry. That's your biggest worry.
I was thinking what you should have done. Do you remember that song came on like in high school? It's like, how do I breathe when you're not by my side?
Dude, I should have done TikTok.
You should have done it.
I could have gone viral.
You should have done a TikTok.
Dude, why didn't you tell me? I would have done it. I would have fucking done it. Missed opportunity for fame. Damn.
Your chance to go viral, dude.
Dude, you fucked up.
Dude, I just thought about it right now.
I love this.
Make them say no, but make them say yeah. I fucked up. Ooh, I fucked up.
All right, guys. Well, now that you guys know what happened, I'm really happy that we're back and recording and back to our normal daily life.
Yes.
Normal-ish. I feel like normal doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So for those of you guys that are here for the first time, I am Bianca, and I'm a work-at-home mom to 2 little girls.
And I'm Crystal. I'm a stay-at-home mom to 2 littles, and you're listening to the Messy Buns Coffee Runs podcast.
This is a no bullshit girl talk through all things mamahood and lifestyle, where there's a place for everyone.
You the
music. See, I wouldn't have been able to do that with COVID. So, you know what we've been talking about a lot that we never really went into depth on?
Yeah.
Was how I got married young, but you also got married young, relatively
young-ish. Yeah.
Relatively young, right? Young compared to nowadays. I feel like a lot of people wait till like they're in the almost 30 to get married, right?
Yeah. Dude, I know a ton of people who are like my age, because I'll be 30 in a week here, and like so many people I know are still single, not even dating. Well, the pandemic fucked all of that shit up. But
yeah, but in general, like even having kids, like to have
people waiting until their
20s,
fucking 40s. Yeah, I know. It's either it feels like to me like we're in this point where you either have them really young or you have them much older. It's
you
like
don't do it in
if
between.
you miss a certain age, like a young age to have kids, you wait until you're much
20,
older.
Like 4.
Yeah.
And then just wait a little bit. Just live your rest of your 20s out.
Yeah, exactly. And then you start having
20s.
kids. Dude, that's fucking insane.
But yeah, so for those that don't know, I got married when I was 19 years old.
Dude, that's fucking crazy.
Which, to think about now, I have a brother who's 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking insane.
Dude, right? Like, no, how are you?
Okay, you know want to know how crazy this is? I think about who I was at 19, or like just me as a person.
Yeah. Like, what was I thinking? What the hell was wrong with me? Now I understand, like, if my daughters pull that shit, I would literally just like handcuff them to a bed. And
you
like,
can't
you're not
go
going anywhere. But yeah, so I got married when I was 19, and honestly, it was so. And I'm just gonna quickly
give a quick background, because I don't think people understand like this is like a thing.
Yeah, so Ethan is in the military, so it was like your typical military timeline. We met 6 months later. We got, well, it was like 7 months, 8 months. Okay.
Give you every month you can.
Give me everything. It was like 7 or 8 months later, we ended up deciding to get married. And honestly, we really just decided to get married because we were young and dumb. Young, dumb. Wait, is it that song?
Young, dumb, and in love.
Young, dumb, and broke, actually.
Young, dumb, and broke. Yeah.
We were young, dumb, and broke.
Yes.
Yeah, but we were just like young. And so, we got married, and we decided to get married. And obviously, I mean, I'm 19, getting married. I didn't want my parents to like completely hate me. Our plan was,
oh my God,
to not tell mom and dad that we were getting married, and we were gonna.
We were going on vacation. We were supposed to go to the Cayman Islands.
No. We were supposed to say we were at Knott's or Six Flags. Okay, so the way the military works, for those that don't know, once you get married, you file this paperwork to the office, on base. You file the paperwork, and they basically will start the money that gives you money to live. So okay, how do I explain this so people don't think that Ethan married me just for the money? When Ethan was living on base, he was not paying any rent pretty much, right? Free housing. When we got married, he qualified for BAH, and that BAH is pretty much, it was like $1,800, and it was supposed to be for our rent and utilities and living expenses for both of us, right? Like, because he's married now, he has a family.
Military gives you like a stipend when you have dependents.
They give us a stipend, yeah. So to live off base, so you don't live in the barracks, because obviously dependents can't live in the barracks. So, but that takes a minute to process, right? And Ethan was broke AF, and so we decided, let's get married. Not going to tell anybody because I thought my parents were going to kick me out because they were so disappointed. Not going to say anything until we already have the BH kicked in. We have an apartment furnished already. So save a little bit of money.
That's right.
Get an apartment, get it furnished because we had zero. He had negative money to his name.
Yeah.
And I obviously had literally
negative
like
money to your name. Yeah.
So that was the plan. Obviously, I just couldn't do that. Like, it just broke my heart. Crystal and I were at Trader Joe's.
I told you, but I remember I told you, I was like, you're like, I'm just going to do it. I'm so scared to tell mom and dad. And I was like, you need to at least give them the chance to like be there for you.
Yeah.
Because although they're going to be mad, we all know they're going to be upset and they're going to be really upset with this decision.
We knew it wasn't going to go well.
It wasn't going to go great, but like, this is just the way I always think, though. This is always the way I've always been, where I'm like, think 10 years down the road, 10 years when we're all great and everybody's getting along and everything's fine and settled and whatever, you're going to be upset that they weren't there, at least there the day that you got married versus like, damn, I wish I would have given them the opportunity to at least show up. Yeah.
And so I decided to tell him that evening. I texted Ethan, though.
I was in your room when it was happening. Oh my God, I was shitting bricks. Dad thought you were pregnant. That's what it was.
No, I know. And so I texted Ethan right away and I let him know, I'm like, dude, like, I can't do this. Like, I just texted, like, I can't do this. He's like, well, what's wrong? And I'm like, I can't get married and not to my parents. He's like, well, at least wait till I get there. But at this point, I'm bawling my eyes out already. And mom and dad knew something was up. And so I was like, no, I have this, like, energy. I need to just say it.
Just spill out.
I couldn't do it.
Pull up the
Band-Aid. He's, like, booking it from Oceanside to Long Beach.
I know. He was really upset that you didn't wait for him. Because then it's like he didn't, like, get to, do at the proper way.
And so, like, I think I needed to do it by myself, though. I didn't want to have Ethan in the room when I broke this news to them because I think it needed to be something that I said to them.
Yeah.
Like, to this day, I don't regret that.
You know what it was? I think because it was coming at a shock. It was going to be a complete shock. It wasn't even like you were mentioning it to mom and mom's like, oh, we got to keep an eye on it. Like, this is literally out of left field. I wasn't even sure that they probably even thought that Ethan was still your boyfriend at the time. They didn't even know,
So I tell them, and obviously they didn't take it well. There's lots of questions, lots of disappointment. And honestly, I get it. I'd be the same way with my kids. When they threw something like this on me, I would kill them. But yeah, so Ethan gets there and it doesn't go very well. My dad didn't even talk to Ethan.
Yeah, I don't think Dad even came out the room. Did Dad come out the room or did he leave?
No, he was in the room.
He was in the room.
Mom's the one that talked to me. And it just did not go well at all. And obviously got kicked out.
I remember mom was so fucking... You left that night, right?
Yeah.
Mom was so mad at me. Did I ever tell you that she was like so fucking hot at me afterwards? When you walked in the room, I for sure thought you were going to bitch out. And that's why I was still waiting for you. Otherwise,
I could only imagine you're like...
From my perspective, my thought process was you were gonna go in the room, bitch out, start crying, and say you and Ethan broke up and lied, and then say you got back together or something.
So fucking
and then
funny.
That's why I stayed in your room waiting for you. But when I heard that you were actually doing it, when I heard Dad say, "Are you pregnant or something?" You're like, "No," and you told me you wanted to get married.
I said, "No, it's worse."
Yeah, you're like, "I want to get married." If I would have known you were gonna, I would have booked that shit to my room because the whole conversation was so uncomfortable.
It was so bad.
But like, I was trying to stay neutral, right? Because here's the thing. While I knew it was very risky for you to get married at that age, obviously. Like I was only 21, but I still knew, right? Yeah. Very scary. I knew Ethan was a good guy though. That I did always know. So I wasn't scared in like the regard of him. What was when you got married young, I had zero. It wasn't even a thought in my mind about like the state of your marriage of him as a person. Like, oh my God, Bianca, think about the things that could happen. He could turn out to be a wife killer or a beater or something like that. Like, no, none of that ever crossed my mind. It was just strictly like what the relationship was going to be like for you and mom and dad.
The repercussions of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I was staying super neutral because I didn't want to seem overly supportive of you because then mom would have got pissed. But then I want to seem overly supportive of mom's and then you think that I wasn't on your side because I was 100% on your side no matter what. Sure. But then I remember there was a specific line where Ethan was like, fine, like trying to come up with a solution with mom. And then mom was saying something like, well, why don't we just wait until the summer? Because you guys got married in June, right? Yeah. She was, give me a month. She's like, let's just get engaged or whatever. At least give yourself time to get engaged. And then I'll throw a wedding next month or like in August or something.
Because she knew we weren't backing down at that point.
Exactly. And I remember I turned and I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Why not just wait a month or two? Because I hadn't said nothing up to this point. And I remember this look mom gave me. And when you guys left, dude, she let me have it. She thought like
we were all just sitting there talking about this big, beautiful wedding.
She had like legit, she thought at that moment when she said, let's wait until July or August. Like, give it a month and I'll plan a wedding. She thought that you were going to say yeah and he was going to say yeah.
Yeah.
I knew you guys weren't going to say yes to that.
But here's the thing. I warned Ethan that they would try to do that.
So I was just like, she's not going to say no, but she's not going to say, no, we want to do it right now. She's going to find it. So I jumped in just to buffer because there was going to be a lull here for a minute. And this is when Ethan finally stood up and said, no, man, we're getting married or whatever, right? The next morning, Mom and Dad and I went to Mimi's Cafe or whatever to eat some breakfast.
Oh my
and
God,
Mom and Dad were like super
awkward and
dude, they were still super like hot, but at this point they had like kind of calmed down a little bit. And I remember like telling them the reason because they called you, right?
I don't remember.
So they called you because they asked you about what time were you getting married because you guys were getting married the next day. You only told them, mind you, I don't think we said that. You told them the day before,
the night before
that you guys were getting married.
Night before.
You guys had an appointment for like 2:00 the next day. I told them kind of the same thing I told you. I was like, look, here's the thing. I understand you guys are pissed. I was like, I get it. I don't have kids. Yeah. I don't know, but I get it, right? It makes sense. The way she told you sucks, but you guys need to remember something. She's not pregnant, so it's not like she's like running away with her boyfriend. Because that too, right? The whole like Mexican thing is like she's gonna look like she ran away from the house and like she ran off with her boyfriend. It's like that's not the thing. She's just getting married to somebody that she loves. And I was like, you guys are gonna regret not going there 5 years from now. Yeah. God forbid she's getting married and started her life with somebody. Like that's not the worst thing that could happen. Yeah. The worst thing that could happen is if she took off in the middle of the night, didn't fucking tell you was pregnant with some guy and you'd never met him.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys know they want a relationship with you guys. The least you could do is show up to the ceremony and decide from there what you want to do. But at least you were there the day she got married. Yeah. And so then that's when they decided to call you because I was there and I had you on speaker. And that's when they talked to you and said, okay, what time? And we rushed down there to go get dressed.
You guys rushed down there because I was going to get married in jeans and like the sweater.
Top you had on.
I was wearing a sweater.
Yes, the Boston Red Sox sweater you used to wear. Oh my God.
I had no clothes. We just had to leave. And so when Mom and Dad got there, Mom and Dad took us to the Carlsbad outlets and we got that, I have that dress and shoes to this day.
Yeah.
My little white dress. My mom bought me some heels and my dad bought me a wedding band, but refused to buy Ethan a wedding band.
Yeah. Awesome. I remember when they asked you for the ring at the ceremony. You were like, I don't have one.
It was like the cheapest band too. I think the band was like $80 and his would have only been, I think, like $60, but they refused to buy him a wedding band. They just bought me one. It was fucking hilarious. But yeah, so that
these are the circumstances that led up to the date, which is insane.
I'm still very thankful that like they still went out of the way to go and get me the outfit and all that. So at least I felt, but yeah, so that's how.
Do you want to know something really funny? So on the way back, right? Because we all rode in the same car.
After the courthouse, my dad, we got married, like actually got married. They did the little thing inside the courthouse. My dad, right after she said we were married, and my dad got up and he walked straight to the parking lot.
Yeah.
We didn't say 2 words.
So my mom took the picture of you guys. I took the picture of you guys and then we got in the car.
One we still have in our house.
So you said you guys went and got Jack in the Box afterwards, right? That's how you guys celebrated. So it really funny
barely
story.
Had enough money.
So on the way back, and I remember because we were already because Dad was really upset on the car ride home. Mom was too. They were both like Dad was crying, Mom was crying. Yeah. Super, super upset. But I remember when we got to Lakewood and Carson, we were already close to the house. Dad almost like got pissed. He wasn't even upset anymore. He was just like angry. Yeah, the anger set in. But by this point, so Addie was we were all dead silent in the car because we knew Mom and Dad were
say shit, Mom
and Dad were one tip away from like just going off on one of us, right? So Addie's sitting right next to me, and Addie's a baby at this age, right? So you got married.
She's like 5 or no, she's like 6.
She's like 6 at this point. Yeah. So Dad's like really, really angry. So Addie kind of wants to calm him down because he's like just so hot. We're in the car, and I remember we're at the stoplight. Addie just starts wailing out of nowhere. Like crying. Yeah. I don't think I ever told you the story. So she just starts crying out of nowhere. And I was like, honey, what's wrong? Like, I'm being loud because I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, focus on Addie, not on anybody else's anger. What the hell's going on? But she was totally playing it up because she thought Dad was angry. So she goes, I'm going to be angry. And she's like, I miss Bianca. And I was just like, oh, honey, we're still going to see her. She's like, I was like, what would make you feel better? Because she was just like bawling, like some telenovela shit, right? And Mom and Dad knew what she was doing. Because like now it's kind of funny because she's like, she thinks she's such a great actress. And then I was like, oh, and Dad's like, oh, honey, like, well, what would make you feel better? And then she was like, Chuck E. Cheese? You have to take me to Chuck E. Cheese? And Dad's like, all right, we'll get you Chuck E. Cheese. And that Mom's like, yeah, babe, we'll get you Chuck E. Cheese. She goes, and maybe the movies and some ice cream too.
Jesus, I never knew that.
Dude, yes. And then after that, everything was chill. I was like, hilarious. Damn, dude.
Well, good for Addie. She took one for the team. But yeah, that's how everything kind of went down. And honestly, if I could do it all over again, I think I would have
Yeah, would you change anything?
Actually,
knowing the way it turned out.
So let me just say this real quick. My parents were always very strict with me, right?
Yeah.
I knew that there was no way in hell they would ever just let me move in with Ethan because we wanted to just move in together. But one, I knew mom and dad would not do that. And two, I knew that with the military and the way the fucking thing works, we wouldn't have money to do it. My parents were so strict, and Ethan and I really were adamant about getting married. And I don't think there was another way to do it. Because had I told them earlier, I don't think that would have worked out.
Yeah. Totally.
And I would have been almost like, just had nowhere to go.
I think they literally would have locked you up or kept you, took away your phone, made sure you had never had any contact with Ethan.
There was no way I would have been able to.
And I guarantee you they would have taken
shit.
Rapunzel, exactly. And I guarantee you they would have took away my phone to make sure I didn't cover for your ass or anything. They would have covered their bases.
As much as I would love to say for their sake that I would like to do it over again, I don't think there was another option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For it to end up the way it
ended up. To be honest, I'm being completely honest here.
So these are the circumstances that led up to you getting married. Now, I want to know something since we're talking about this. Getting married at an early age, right? This is not something a lot of people do because more people, it's becoming more and more acceptable to do live together before marriam and stuff.
Years,
you know what I mean?
And I wish I would have. I think, not that it would have probably would have changed something on his part, but I am a big advocate for people when they want to get married. Move in with each other, live with each other for at least a year first. If you can make it through that first year of living with somebody,
you have a good chance at the rest of it.
Yeah.
So what would you say is like the biggest things you want to cover from the beginning, like your maturity level, like these things that play into how well your marriage will work out?
This is okay. So I think Ethan and I are now married almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years in June.
Holy shit.
And I think we have a pretty good
shit. Grab the wall.
So we have a pretty good marriage, and I'm very happy. He's happy. We don't really argue much, but he's going to be 30 soon. I'm going to be 28, right? So we're a little bit older now. Looking back at the last, not even the last 9 years, I would say the first 3 years. Mm-hmm. I look back on those years, Crystal, and I fucking cringe.
Yeah.
I cringe, and not just cringe, but I look back on it, I'm like, man, if things would have just happened a little bit differently those first 3 years, I feel like our marriage would be very different. And I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, right?
You want to know something I think about? I've mentioned this to Hulu before. I think we've had conversations about this before. And I told him, I was like, your marriage, right? And when we had a conversation about luck and how much luck kind of plays a factor in who you marry, I think. But I told him, I was like, Bianca ended up with the one guy. If there's a subgroup of people that you should never marry, it's definitely the Marines, right?
Yeah.
But she ended up with the one guy at a very immature state in her life.
He was only 21.
Yeah, he was only a baby, but you ended
Johnny's age.
Oh my God, that's fucking crazy. You ended up with the one guy of all the people and the places you shouldn't have ended up with who believes deeply in marriage.
Yes. And that's what it
plays a huge part, I feel like, in why you guys have made it this far.
Love is one thing, but to really believe in the constitution of marriage is a complete, or
and I feel like that's
what's
different thing. Gotten you guys this far, because I know you and I have talked about plenty about very personal things that have happened in your guys' marriage and how hard it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I feel like anybody else, just the age alone, the circumstances, it would have been made so easy for you guys not to make it.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like the big thing is not even, I'm not saying anything about you, but and realistically, your husband has really held this marriage until you were ready to join him in holding the marriage, because he really believes
absolutely
in not divorcing.
And you're 100% right. And let me give you a little backstory on that. Ethan, at this point, when we have gotten married, he has lived in a few different states on his own. He's been on his own for a while. He's always worked. So I feel like he was always very independent as a child. And so I feel like this kind of wasn't a big shock to him, right? He was already used to living on his own.
Or figuring it out. That's a big thing.
I was 19. I had parents that were very strict and sheltered me a lot. I didn't even know what car insurance was. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was very sheltered. I went straight from that environment to felt thrown to the wolves with learning everything and being an adult. And even then, I'm 19. I don't know any 19-year-old who's ready to actually be an adult.
Fuck no.
You know what I mean? So I think about those things and how they affected our marriage so much. And I don't want to sit here and say Ethan's a fucking saint, because he's not.
Yeah.
But I would say 90% of our first 3 years of marriage and all of the bad things that happened were because of me. Mm-hmm. I was so immature.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I was 19. I didn't even know who I was. Think of yourself as 19 years old.
God,
what?
I don't want to.
I was so immature. I would pick fights over the dumbest things. And you know what thing I regret so much Ethan was the guy back then that like Crystal, I could pick at him. And I mean, I knew when I would dig so deep. I would hit way below the belt. It was disgusting. I think of some of the things I've said to him when we were fighting, and I'm like, how did you not like just leave and never come back?
Exactly.
And he was so patient, or even barely like ever raised his voice. And I was just
those are the things that make people when they're in divorce court go crazy. Like,
yes,
then like he's the one that had all the finances under his belt. He could have easily left you out to hang and dry and be like, fuck it. Or even like the fact that he never went as far as to be like, well, I'm going to teach you a lesson. Like he never did that because he could have.
Yeah. Yeah. And so honestly, like the fights we had were so bad. We didn't know anything about, so Ethan was really bad with money. In the beginning, very bad with money. He came in, we went into the marriage. He was already in debt, had a really horrible car loan, and just like, we both didn't really know much about, because while he has lived on his own before, and you know, he had lived on his own for a while and was financially taking care of himself.
It was more of like just surviving.
He was making it barely. And so, and I knew nothing about budgeting and finances and what bills needed to be paid. I needed to be added to. So like we struggled a lot financially in the beginning. I did get a pretty good job right away, nannying in San Diego County. It's like money maker.
Yeah.
So I was able to help, and that kind of relieved a little bit of the stress. But it put us we were in so much debt the first 3 years of our marriage. I would say until right after Annabelle was born, is we really started to buckle down, and we started
it out.
Yeah, but that also came with his promotions and all this other things too. So we were living off of, he was a Lance Corporal when we got married, and they make like nothing. And so it was really, really hard. And that, I mean, we never fought over finances, thankfully, but we put ourselves in such a fucking hole because we were both so, I guess, financially immature.
Yeah, financially
illiterate with it. So like, it definitely didn't affect us, like our relationship, but us as like a family unit was suffering.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. That makes sense.
It was just so bad. Had like I got married now, oh my God, I would do things so different. From the beginning, I would do things so different.
Yeah.
Another thing that was huge is we got married in 2012, right? Instagram. I joined Instagram 2011. No, I joined Instagram 2012 because I was already dating Ethan. So Instagram was becoming a thing.
Yes, Facebook was like, really taking off.
Social media was starting to be what it is now,
I remember,
right?
Yeah.
That was like the beginning of it. And you would see like all these girls posting pictures of their boyfriends and the flowers and this and that. And one, we were broke. And two, I just was... The comparison to these other people, it ate at us. And I fought him. Why aren't you bringing me flowers every day? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And I feel like I almost just like tore him down at some points. And I look at it now and I'm like, God, how could I have treated him like that? Right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And this is why like you always hear me talk
but
so
this
highly
is like, you know what it is too? It's like, this goes to show you that like this, I mean, some people, because of different life experiences can be mature at different ages, but this I feel like is the biggest thing that comes with maturing is being able to see a situation outside of yourself.
Absolutely.
Being able to see a situation and understand what you did wrong.
Yeah.
And not what you did wrong in the sense of like, cause you're looking to blame and like, you know what I mean? But like,
no, yeah, absolutely.
Because some people do that just so they could take the blame for it and continue on. I'm talking about like being able to sit back and be like, God, I like you just said, I fucking tore you down, and that was fucking wrong. But that shows a sign of maturity. You couldn't see past your own
had you
anger
asked
at that
me
age.
then, I would have given you a million excuses as to why I was right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And honestly,
because all you're focused on is all your own feelings, your own anger, and getting that out, and you know he'll take it, and then that's just what it is.
And I feel like all this just comes with being young, right? But that aside, I think it came down to a lot of insecurity because I didn't know who I was as a person. I didn't know who I wanted to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know what we were doing 2 years from now, a year from now. And then even with the military, that adds another level of
stress with deployments.
Not just stress, but what's the word I'm looking for? Instability. And so I felt so thrown to the wolves. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah.
And going back to, the financial thing, I hated relying on him for money. And not because I'm like this independent woman, but because it made me feel really uncomfortable. I wasn't used to having to ask people for money. We went to the day we got married, we went to get Jack in the Box, and we needed to get groceries. We went to Stater Brothers, and he was like trying to figure out what I like. I mean, this is our first day living together. He's like, what bread do you usually buy? Like, what this do you buy? And I'm like, whatever you want is fine. Like, I wouldn't even like tell him what I wanted, and he would get so upset with me. He'd be like, what do you want to eat?
That's frustrating.
Like, you need to eat. I'm going to be at work, and you're going to be in this apartment all day. Like, you need to eat while I'm gone, and I want to make sure you have what you need. And I'm like, I don't want you to spend money on me when I'm not contributing.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like there were so many deep-seated things that like, and just like you said, you as a person too, that like, this is why we're not saying there's like an age specifically.
No, there
like,
isn't.
But like there's certain things you need to work out within yourself, and you have to have a good sense of self before you decide to jump into a relationship where you bring in everything you have to another person.
But the thing is about that too is you don't know. I thought at like 23 or right when I had Annabelle, like I thought I was so wise. I thought I was ready. But I look back on it now, I'm like, I still did dumb shit.
Yeah.
I still said dumb shit. I still started dumbass arguments. And like, I'm 28 now and Ethan's going to be 30. And so now I feel now I'm at my wisest.
Yeah.
I do feel like now I'm able to like sit back and look at the things that we've done wrong and look at the things that have affected our marriage. And I have learned so much. And I want to share a few things with you guys because I know a lot of other military wives may listen to this or even just young couples in general. Yeah. And I just want to share with you a couple, not like tips, but what I've learned in the last few years of my marriage, looking back on getting married really young. And I'll be super quick with this. Number one is knowing your partner's love language. I cannot fucking stress this enough to you guys. The love language thing. I know we say this in almost every episode, right? The love language, knowing your partner's love language and how they give you love is so fucking important. It's disgusting how important it is. For example, going back to you don't bring me flowers every day. Yeah. You don't do this every day. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, but you know what he would do? He would make sure that the dishes were clean. The house was clean. He would come home on lunch break so I wouldn't be lonely until I found a job. He would do little things like that I didn't realize at the time was...
Focusing on only what you think you're missing. The 80-20 rule.
Yeah. Like,
do you remember that from that movie?
Oh, yeah.
The 80-20 rule. So basically what it was is like, if you haven't seen it, it's Why Did I Get Married? And I think it's a Tyler Perry movie. And he talks about the 80-20 rule about how when you're with somebody, you're in a marriage, right? It feels like you're missing all these things. You're missing out on being spontaneous and young and going out to dinners and traveling the world or getting flowers every day. Like the way you romance when you first start dating somebody.
That first butterfly feeling.
You're missing that. And then you meet somebody and they give you all those butterfly feelings, the sneaking around and suddenly they're giving you flowers and taking you to restaurants. And it's like you leave this person in this marriage for this new person thinking that they're giving you everything you're missing because you're missing 20%. But what you find out is you left 80 for 20%. That's all that person offers is that 20% instead of everything you had offered over here, which was 80%.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, that's one thing that I wish I would have, if I would have been told anything from the beginning, it would have been that. 100% would have been that. I don't know if I would have the mature capacity to be able to understand it like I do now, but I wish I would have known about that sooner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Working has definitely helped me feel not so reliable. Not so much reliable, but it kind of cured that uncomfortable feeling for me of feeling like... Now, honestly, like if I didn't work now, it wouldn't bug me a fucking inch.
Yeah, it's different. You guys have been married for so long.
I'm glad that I started working, at least in the beginning, to kind of get me more comfortable with sharing money and doing all that, especially being so young, and learning just to let the little fucking shit go. Letting the little shit go.
God,
like Ethan leaves his boots everywhere. That's one thing I have not been able to freaking get him out of. But I don't bitch about it anymore because you know what? It's really worth even just that. Like, what if he's just having a bad day, right?
Yeah.
And the first thing I say when he gets to the door is, "Don't leave your fucking boots everywhere." Like, does he really need that? Did I need to get that comment in?
Yeah, absolutely. Is it necessary?
Was it necessary? Yeah.
You know what? It's interesting you say that, right? Because it all comes down to communication about how, like, sometimes just when you address things and how you address things plays a big factor. Like, I was reading this book.
When,
it's called,
I like that. Yeah, when you address things.
It's called How to Talk to Kids So Kids Will Listen, right? I'm very into like the parenting stuff and communicating with your kids and things like this, right? So one thing that it said is it's like obviously just like anything else, kids are just like mini humans, they're mini adults, right? They have to be spoken to a certain way. And okay, like imagine this is the scenario they give, right? If we're sitting in a group, like I don't know, like an AA meeting or whatever the fuck it is, you know, you sit in chairs or whatever, you sit in like a group therapy, right? You're sitting there. If it's like, okay, session's done, great session, everybody. If I like you guys start walking or like you guys start getting out of your chairs, right? Like I would now, like getting out and like you would naturally scoot them in or wherever. Let's say they're supposed to go away somewhere and you pull them out for the therapy. If session ends and you guys start getting up and start saying goodbye to each other and stuff, if I turn to you guys and say, hey, you guys, you guys know you guys need to put these fucking chairs away. Yeah. Dude, the session's ended. Everybody start putting these fucking chairs away. You know this. We do this every single fucking time. You would have a completely different reaction than if it kind of seemed like people were forgetting and everybody was saying goodbye and starting to walk away. And then I was like, hey guys, chairs. Yeah. And then you'd be like, oh, okay, gotta put the chairs away.
Yeah. Quick.
They're very different things. It's the timing. It's the way you address things. And sometimes, you know what it is? They said that makes you feel like almost like you don't trust this person or you like are belittling them.
Yeah. Belittling them.
And that's what it might be. But like, I'm a grown ass man. I know that I need to put my boots away. I just didn't fucking do it. And sometimes I don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
And like you said, what if he was having a bad day? Or what if he was just
that was like the one thing?
Exactly. What if he was like, I had a really shitty day. I can't wait to see my girls. He just took off his boots. It's been a long day and he wants to just go straight to hug you guys. And the first thing you do is bitch. And then it kills the mood. And it's like, God, dude. And then it may set the mood for him because he's allowed to be angry too.
Absolutely. And 100% agree with that. And I think that the turning point in our marriage 100% was his first deployment. And let me tell you why. His first deployment, we were married, just hit our year mark. He left a few months after we had our year mark. And that year was, while we had a lot of fun, it was really bad.
Yeah, lots of ups and downs.
Let me tell you, we talk about getting married young and being thrown from my mom's house to living with a man who's pretty much financially completely taking care of me. When he was on his deployment, I got my first full-time job. Mm-hmm. I was working like 45 hours a week nannying, and I had started making friends. I made friends whose husbands were on the same deployment, and I was going out. I had to be so independent.
Yeah.
I lived on my own for 8 months, that first deployment?
Yes. And you had never been alone.
On my own. That meant cooking for myself, because honestly, Ethan babied me a lot. He would help me cook. He would help me clean. He would help me, get things ready in the morning. He would even help me with the laundry. Like he really babied me until I learned everything. When he left, I had to completely cook for myself, clean myself, like do everything by myself.
Laundry, dishes,
take care of the finances by myself. Because at that point, we were still kind of splitting he was helping out a lot because he knew all the passwords and all that. And I was still kind of getting a system down.
Right.
I had to pay all the bills on my own. I had to do everything on my own. Oil changes. I had to be so independent. And honestly, I feel like that's all I needed. I needed some time. Not so much away from him, because I obviously would have preferred he not deploy, but I needed that time to be alone.
It helps you sink or swim, and it helps you learn who you are. This is like the important thing. I think
like everyone should live on their own before.
Learning who you are outside of yourself, which it's like
outside of your marriage too.
I know in our like specific situation, Julia and I, when it comes to our kids, that we're very big on education.
Yes.
I mean, like, for those who don't know, we're literally in the process of like wanting to sell our house and get another one, looking for a forever home. But we're literally limiting ourselves so much. It's so hard to find a house because we're limiting ourselves to the schools that are around those houses, what they're zoned for. Because we're very, very big on creating opportunities for our kids, and not so much giving them opportunities, creating the opportunities for them. Like, I'm going to set you up to go to the good schools, but you got to do the work because I can't do anything for you.
I'm going to do as much as I can.
Exactly. And so we talk about, and Julio's obviously like, oh, I want my babies to go to college. Like we both do, right? Yeah. We both know that's something they're going to do. But I'm very adamant, as much as it hurts, I'm very, very adamant that they go to school outside of our house, like out of state or something, or a little bit further away where they can't live at home. And Julio's always been like, every time I say it, he'll be like, or they could stay home and go to college. Like, and I'm like, look, it's not that I don't want to have my kids home. I would love to have my kids home with me while they went to college.
4 years.
But I need my kids to learn, especially with me being
that you don't learn being at home.
And especially in our situation where I do, knock on wood, and if everything goes well and God allows it to, that I will continue to stay home, because they will have a stay-at-home mom who will literally do everything for them. Having a parent, even parents that we're living in your parents' house, but like having specifically a parent that's readily available at all times, they're not going to get that.
Yeah.
As much as we try and we'll implement systems, it's not going to happen. I was like, I need them to not just live on their own and experience having to do their own laundry and cook and clean and learn how to financially take care of themselves, because they will have to work through college. We will help them, but we're not going to do it all. I need them to have that time alone. I need them to have that time outside of a relationship. I need them to have that time to figure out who they are as a young person. College is that time where, yes, while you're setting up for the real world, it's a deviation from adulthood for 4 years, because you get to party, you get to have fun, you have responsibilities, but it's your first like real chance to know what it's like to play hard, but also work hard. This is why like I'm so big on like, it's not so much that I'm like over here trying to fight gender roles in my house where it's like boys can play with dolls or whatever. It's my son will learn to do dishes. He will learn to cook. He will learn to clean. He will learn to do his fucking laundry. You know why? Because one day he will leave my house and I'm not raising no man baby.
Yeah.
He's not going to rely on another woman to do that. If anything, you need to be helping your partner make these things easier. And you can only do that if you learn to live on your own. This is something that and this is different for me because I got married a little bit older. So I don't feel like I necessarily had this specific issue.
Yeah. But you weren't that old when you got
I was 25.
Yeah.
But it's an experience I wish I would have had. While for you, it's like an experience I should have had because I was just so immature before I left. For me, it was more of an experience I really wish I would have had my head on straight, and I would have done that before I met my husband.
Yeah.
Because that would have allowed me to, like you said, learn what I like and dislike outside of what people tell me to like and dislike. Because this is the thing. While you live under your parents' roof, you are heavily influenced by what they like, what they agree with, and what they don't agree with.
For example,
which is why your politics will align with your parents. Oh, yeah. I had never had sour cream a day in my life.
I was supposed to hate sour cream, so I always asked for no sour cream. I tried sour cream a few years ago. Sour cream is the fucking shit.
So, same thing here. Like, I remember when when Julio and I started dating.
Yeah.
We went to eat steak, and I remember like mom only has her steak well done.
You're only supposed to have it well done.
You're only supposed to have it well done. My mom had told me my whole life, you don't like steak not well done because it's not cooked.
Yeah.
But now that I've been older, I realize that's not how that works. Like salmonella is chicken, that's not steak. Yeah. And you're missing out. You're doing a disservice to steak if you have it well done.
Yeah.
That's what I mean about like how while you live under your parents' roof, you are under their influences in the sense of like your politics will align. You don't get to grow in your own. You don't get to experience the world and let the outside world and your own experiences dictate how you feel about something. Because I will tell you this: most people who live in their parents' households, they will agree mostly with their politics, right? For the general consensus, they usually somewhat agree with their politics, because your parents have usually aligned their politics based around their personal experiences, like most people do. You have no personal experience.
Exactly.
Therefore, you have no reaction to things. And you won't have that until you leave the real world. I hope that I teach my kids how to be free thinkers and critical thinkers, even to the point where if they disagree with me, I'm okay with that. As long as you can come up with a well-reasoned argument, I'm down to debate. Let's do this. But I also know that they will not be able to really, really create opinions for themselves until they leave my home and have to deal with those coworkers, have to deal with those bosses or that asshole that lives down the street. I feel like those people who do have those experiences, like I feel like there's no secret formula to marriage, honestly, but I just feel like this is something that would help your marriage along is if you kind of knew these things already, right? Like,
oh yeah. And not even just in your marriage, but to determine compatibility.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like if you already knew these things, like I think about had Ethan and I disagreed on certain topics or certain ways of thinking, how would I have made that work? Like luckily, and again, goes back to luck sometimes too. Like luckily it's worked out, but how would we have made it through certain things? Like with religion and certain things, like if I still thought a certain way and he didn't, like how would that work? But thankfully we've been on the same page, but again, that's luck.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So let me ask you. You guys got married. How old was Julio when you got married?
He was 26.
Oh, so you guys were not older,
okay, so technically,
you guys are good age.
I was 24. He was 25.
Yeah,
but with church,
wait, yes. Okay, yeah.
We had been dating for less than a year. Okay, so this is how it worked.
Hold on, stop. Go from the beginning because you guys also lived together prior.
Okay, yes. Okay, so interesting story. You know what's funny? On our way to the safari park, just a sidetrack.
Yeah.
On our way to the safari park, Julio and I were talking about. I forgot how we got on the subject. I can't for the fucking life of me remember how we got on the subject. But it was right by when we passed Camp Pendleton because we were about to hit that stretch to go all the way down to Escondido.
Fucking hate that stretch.
We had just gone on that, 76 or something? And we started talking and I can't remember for life. But we're talking about how crazy it is, right? This is why I say luck. All the events that had to happen in order for us to get together. For instance, so I was to explain to him, we were talking about the military. And I told him about how I told him at one point I was seriously considering the Air Force. Remember?
I remember this.
Okay.
I remember.
Let me play this out for y'all.
I was nannying when you texted me that, and I remember calling
Remember we went to Jim's and we were eating on the east side, that burger joint?
Dude, we gotta go back
there. I was just thinking the same thing. Okay, so just to give you guys a little side story preface or whatever, what I mean about luck, right? Or meant to be, I guess. But before I met my husband, I legit was like, I'm just going to expose myself and say this and put myself out there. Like, I was a fucking nobody. I was a fucking loser, to be honest with you. I was you bitch. I was basically like going out all the time. I spent all my time with my friends. I don't regret partying or anything like that because I had a ton of fun.
I know what you mean.
But I wasn't like if you anybody else they had met me, I was 24 almost when I met my husband. 24.
Wow, you were a little bit of a loser.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well, think about it. Even before that, right? I was 23 at this point. I'm 23 years old, no college degree, dropping in and out of college, literally not even working. Like I just lived off of my parents and then would go out at night or whatever. Yeah. Like I was that person. I was totally that person, right? And it's all kind of packaged differently. We're going to bring in a culture thing. It's like in the Mexican culture, Latino culture, it's like it's kind of okay if your daughters do that, like because you're just kind of waiting around to get married and then have your husband take care of you, right? It's kind of like this, right? Not saying my mom ever pushed that on us because she kind of wasn't like that. Didn't. She was always like, you need to
push college.
She did push college in her own way, right? So. But that's just the way it was. That's just the honest to God truth. So I remember being 22 and I was like, Bianca and I were eating and Bianca and I were at the burger joint and I was telling her, I was like, fuck, dude, I'm not doing shit with my fucking life. And I'm starting to feel it because everybody around me now is getting their masters and getting their degrees, getting big boy jobs and then going and living on their own or leaving college or whatever. And I was like, fuck, like, it was just a lot. It really fucking hurt. It was burning a hole in my heart because I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life, right? So I was telling her, I was like, I'm seriously considering joining the military. And I saw, because at least the military would give me a stable paycheck. I, could find a job. Give me some time to figure out what I want to do. And I wouldn't have to live. Dude, me either. Fuck no. And I even Googled, like, the Air Force was the easiest boot camp and stuff to join. Fuck yeah. That's why I picked the Air Force because I was like, it's the easiest boot camp. I was like, it'll allow me to live on my own so I'm not under my parents' roof because I'm literally fucking 22. Is that what 22.
Was bugging you the most? That you're still living with mom and dad with no
not just living with mom and dad. For those who don't know, I am going to be 30 years old very, very soon here. And I feel like we're just like anybody else, like at the cusp of like different trends or different things. Like nowadays, it is not uncommon at all for people to move home after college or continue living in your house after college. It's like the norm.
Most people who are married still live with their parents.
Exactly. I was still in that era a little, just at the tail end of that era. If it was still weird, it was still super, super weird if you lived at home after college. Like you were almost looked at as like a loser. Yeah. We were reaching the tail end of this trend because soon after that, that's when the economy was hitting. A lot of people were moving back home to make it and stuff like that, right? So anyways, I'm 22. I have nothing going for me. And I'm like, Air Force will be easy to join. I'll get a stable paycheck. I'll live out of my parents' house. I can move out and I won't seem like a total loser. Mm-hmm. And I remember you were like, yeah, I think it's a great idea if that's what you want to do. And I remember I was telling Julio.
You're flat-footed, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And I'm fucking flat-footed on top of that. Well, my mom was very, very big on like me going and getting a college degree and never going to a trade school. She didn't see the point of a trade school. So I remember thinking this is the only option I have at this point because I have no idea how to tell my parents that I'm not even going to school and like I dropped out. And
we have like a whole episode on this coming up too, guys.
Yeah, this is insane. So I tell Bianca and then I told him, I was like, by the fucking grace of God, I forgot where the fuck we were going. I want to say me, mom and dad were going to like Miami or something to go to watch a football game. We were going somewhere because
no, you were actually, because I remember being butthurt no one invited me on that trip.
Okay, so we were on our way. Yeah, we were on our way to the Long Beach airport, and I remember someone was dropping us off. I can't for the love of God remember who was dropping us off, but I remember we had just had this conversation, and I was supposed to take off to go to Miami with mom and dad or whatever. So we get in the car and this is how this happened. So we get in the car and we're heading down like by Lakewood Boulevard, right before you get to Long Beach Airport. And mom goes, hey, it's like mom fucking knew something was up. She's not stupid. Does. She knew. She's like, hey babe, question for you. I was like, oh God, yes. Please don't, for the love of God, don't ask me about school.
No, I used to dread
me too.
That. Oh my God.
She's like, what do you think about doing like a trade school? And I was like, what do you mean? She's just like, like picking up a trade and then going from there. Like, such and such is at this nursing LVN program. Like, would you consider doing that? And I was telling Julio the story and I was like, dude, my mom would never if you know my mom, she would never in a million years say something like that. So I jumped
what she wanted,
all over it. I was like, that's a fantastic idea.
That's how that happened.
That's how that happened. It was mom's idea. So this is what I'm talking about events, the way events work out. So we come back from Miami. I sign up to go. Well, you have to take a test.
I know where this is going. I understand it now.
So you have to sign up to take a test in order to get it. So this is LVN program. Most people who do LVN, what they do is they bridge. To get into RN school is very, very difficult, especially now. It's super difficult. You have to have like perfect grades and it's just super hard.
Waitlists are
so what a lot of people, and what a lot of people do is they'll join an LVN program, pay that money, and then because RN school is 2 years, LVN program is 1 year. If you get your LVN license, you jump into RN program the second year and they accept you easier that way because you already have a license. So you skip the whole first year because you've already done it. So as long as you have your prereqs, you're fucking good. It's not like everything else. So I remember thinking, fuck yeah, I'll be an RN. Like, that's great. Like, I don't mind. I like working with people. So I went to sign up and you have to, this is me. I was like tapping this thing.
Sounded like an actual dog.
So I was like, I'm going to go and I'm going to sign up and I'm going to take, so what happened is you have to sign up and take an entrance test. Mm-hmm. If you pass the entrance test, then your name, like they took like 6 weeks to get the results and then your name went on the website. You had to check that day. And if you got, that was basically like an invitation.
Yeah.
Julio didn't know any of this. So I told him I go to take the test. Mind you, I'm studying because I thought it was like a TEAS test. It wasn't. It was a little bit easier than that. Mm-hmm. Well, at this point, so many people, they had like 300 plus applicants. There's only 40 spots. So what they did is they had you take the test, and instead of like whether you passed or failed, now it was like the top like 100 people got an invitation. So I remember that day, and I was dreading. It was 6 weeks. I was like, I thought I did really good. I felt really well about it.
You're in Hawaii at this point.
I was so fucking scared.
Yeah.
No, we had just gone back from Hawaii because I was at home when I got it.
Yeah.
So I'm like fucking freaking out because I'm like, God, I hope I got it. I hope I got it because I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do, right?
This doesn't work out.
So I look on the fucking website the morning of, my name's not on the list. I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Wait, what?
Yeah, I was like, how the fuck am I going to tell my mom?
I didn't know this.
Yeah, and by this point I had been honest with her saying, I'm not going to school. Since you don't want to do trade school, let me just tell you, I'm not going to college, by the way, Mom. So I was like, fuck, dude, fuck. So then I go in the garage. I remember just like my head was down. I was like, fuck, I didn't get it. And Mom was hot. Like I could tell, but she was cool about it in the sense that she didn't go off on me. She was just more like
disappointed.
All right, you know what? Let's just try
next?
again. Yeah, let's just try again. Call them, ask them what you did wrong, ask them what your score was, how much did you miss it by? That way maybe we can get you a tutor. And I was like, okay, great. Told Dad, I could see Dad hanging his head. He was so disappointed in me, dude. I remember that fucking day. And usually, you know me, I would have been like, I cannot talk on the phone with people. I can't do shit like that, right? Like we said, we were very sheltered and babied our whole life. So
I still can't talk on the
I
phone.
remember Mom and Dad sent me to the grocery store to go do the groceries because the least you could do is do the groceries if you're not fucking doing shit with your life, bitch, right? So I was like, all right. So I go to the grocery store and I remember I was like, you know what? My conscience is like, fine, I'll call, but if they don't answer, oh well, like can't do anything about it. So my plan was to say I called and say that I didn't pass or whatever, just to try again. And in 6 weeks they were gonna have another test or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, now I'll just retry. I'll just study harder for the next test. Well, I happened to call. I was on hold the whole time because, mind you, like I said, over 300 people applied that term.
I'm sure a lot of people were trying to.
So of course this bitch answers the phone as soon as I'm paying, and I have to talk to the cashier at the same time. So I'm like, oh, hello,
So
my name is Crystal. You know,
let everyone in the grocery store know you failed.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I didn't see my name on the list, ma'am, but I just wanted to know like what was my score was, how much did I miss it by? I'd like to try again. Like, is there anything? Where can I improve? I need to know my score. And she's like, anyways, long story short, there was just basically there was this new lady working. This is barely at the cusp because this is 2014, 2013. So this is barely when they're switching schools like online and actually putting information on sites. And it's not just some like regular fucking coded site.
Yeah.
The lady fucked up the whole last row that was on the website were people who didn't get in. So there was a whole list of people. That's why
So what did they do with those people?
So the last call, that's why it was taking forever because people were calling like, oh, I didn't get in, asking the same things. When's the next one so I could try? So she goes, no, you did get, actually you scored one of the highest. Congratulations. I was like, what the fuck? So I run home. I tell my parents, wonderful. Okay, that part's done.
Glory be.
So I'm like, wonderful, great, awesome. Show up, but turns out, hey, because there's only 40 spots in the program, and the program is rigorous, so it's 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, so you can't work while you're in it. And you're not allowed to miss clinicals. One day of just super, super intense, like whatever, right? So what they do is they really need to weed out the people who are going to fail the program, because with the nursing school, you can't just, it's not like regular school where you can just transfer if you like drop out or bring somebody to fill that spot. It's not like that. That's not how it works. So the cohort you start with, the people you start with are the people you have to end with. So I go there, then they do an orientation to let you know the logistics. This is how much it's going to cost. This is the hours. This is this is that. Then they dwindle it down. Then you have about 95 people. Usually they always say about 5 people leave after that. Then they do a 6-week like boot camp basically on everything you don't know about nursing. Like you learn about the heart. You learn very basic things because once you start, you're going to just jump right in. So that's 6 weeks. You take a bunch of tests. You take like 3 tests a week or something like that. And if you don't pass 2 or more tests, the second you don't pass the 3rd test, you get dropped from the program. Wow. So it's 6 weeks. And then they said after the 6 weeks, they dwindle it down. It usually about 60 people end up staying around. From those 60, everybody gets interviews. Whoever lasted that 6 weeks gets it interviews, and then they ask you like pretty much the tough questions like, how are you going to pay for the program? Do you have kids? Like, do you have financial obligations? Like, trying to weed out who's not going to make it, who's not. And then from there, 2 weeks after that, you find out if you got in or not. So there's only like 35 to 38 spots or something like that. So I did the test. I went through all of those hoops. It was like a 6-month long process before I got in because I took the test in January. The classes started in May. So it was like 5 months. So I get in, I started, and I do this LVN program, which I really liked. I did really well in it. But bring me back to this long story, bring it all the way around, is that had I not gone through all of that, dude, like the whole reason why I messaged my husband the way I did. So I messaged my husband. He was in nursing school. So I had messaged him in February of 2015, but in September of 2014, I had a party at my house. And like I said, I kind of knew my husband before a little bit.
You guys had already met.
We had already met. We weren't like, we just knew through very through friends. We didn't like, we had each other on Instagram, but we never like talked or liked each other's pictures or like, it was not like that. I know what you mean. So I saw him that September. I had a party at my house. He ended up showing up. He showed up with his girlfriend, actually. So we were all there talking. Yeah. So we're all there talking.
When is this?
This is September 2014.
Got it.
So, but at this point, though, I didn't know, but him and his girlfriend were not together. It was one of those things where they were together for 4 years. So they already had broken up the summer before, but they would still kind of show up to events together to kind of see if there was something there. They were like friends.
They were trying to hang out.
Yeah, they were trying to hang out.
See if they
there
could
you go.
be friends. Yeah.
That's it. They were trying to hang out. So I didn't know that.
He had a girlfriend.
So, him and I start talking because he's at my house, and before you know it, he's like telling me, "Hey, I saw on your Instagram you're in nursing school, like da 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 da," and he's like, "Me too." And then he tells me where he's going to nursing school. He tells me where he's going to nursing school, X, Y, and Z. That's the end of that conversation.
Yeah.
Well, then February comes around. I'm in this nursing program, and one of our clinical sites, they tell us, because we're the LVNs, right? So we're below RNs, and they tell us, they're like, "Yo, you guys got to get the fuck out. The RNs are here, and they take priority for their hours." And I was like, "Fuck, this fucking sucks." I remember they came in, and I was like, "Oh, well, who's the RN school?" Because we're all pissed. Because what happens is if we get kicked out because the RNs need their hours,
it pushes your guys's.
No, it doesn't even push our hours. What it sucks is that you have to work these long days when you're a nurse, so they keep you there for 12 hours for the shifts. But you want to be working because it makes the shit go by fast. But if for whatever reason the RNs come and take your spot and they get the hours, you can't leave because you need those hours. So they make you sit there, write care plans for 6 hours. It fucking sucks, dude. We were pissed. So they come in. I was like, "Well, who's the fucking RNs that are coming in, motherfuckers?" You know what I mean? I was so pissed. And they're like, "Oh, Cerritos College is in," and I was like, "Oh, what the fuck?"
Like, "Oh, I know."
I was like, "I have a friend." I was like, "Oh, dude, this guy I was just talking to back in September. He blah blah blah, my friend." And so it was a very small facility. So when I was going around making my last rounds, I was looking for him to say hi. And then I was like, "Oh, he's not here. Oh, well." So later on that day, I DM'd him. And that's the DM that got me my first date.
Slid in his
DMs. I even sent him a picture because you had to, at that point, Instagram didn't have DMs just to send DMs.
This is in February
2015. It was like February 1st.
Got it.
I still have the actual original conversation. You still have to send a picture.
On photo bucket.
You have to at this point you have to send a picture in order to send a DM, right? So I sent him I'm studying, so I sent him a picture of the endocrine system.
I remember that.
And then I messaged him saying, "Hey, this is what happened. I was there." He goes, "Oh, that's the first semester. So I'm second semester." I was like, "Oh, ew." And basically we end up talking. That's how we met each other. And we were just talking about how had all of these things, had I not passed that test, called that day, had I not taken that test, done that boot camp, done well, got into the program, not joined the Air Force, all these things that had to happen, had that party at my house randomly, I was not actually going to have it all.
Yeah.
Dude, I would have never met my husband. And so it's just almost feels like sheer dumb fucking luck or just fucking destiny.
So, okay, start from February 2015, right?
February 2015, we get together, we
because everything from here goes pretty quick.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. So February 2015, my husband takes me out on my first date. And like I said, I think I've told you this before, but I've known my husband since 2010. No, I lied. 2009.
That's when you first met.
We met for the first time in 2009, 2010. Yeah. But I did not notice him. I only saw him maybe a handful of times over the years from 2010 to 2015, maybe 3 or 4 times. And they were all at parties and random, but I had not had any fucking interest in that man, not even remotely close. I think I've told Bianca this, that so much so that mind you, a whole bunch of other stuff was going on in my life at the time that I met my husband, but I was on this hiatus from men where I had made an active change at this point to change my life and stop dating the guys I was dating. And I had gone this hiatus of really not dating anybody and not taking anybody seriously. I wasn't even having any sex. I was nothing, zero, zilch. I went into pretty much none mode, right? Because I was got out of this really shitty relationship, which, side note, we have recorded footage of that relationship and talking about toxic relationship. But I was I backed out. I could not release it. I'm not ready for the world to hear it yet. But I got out of the relationship. When I got out of that relationship, I had just almost had this kumbaya fucking come to Jesus moment where I was I need to fucking change who the fuck I am.
I remember this time because I
think Ethan was deployed and you had come back to live.
Deployed.
Yeah, but you guys had come back to live at the house. You had come back to live at the house.
Remember, but right when I moved back into my own place,
you were in the guest house, in the guest room when I came to tell you. So I have this come to Jesus moment. Anyways, I decided I'm just going to change. I need to start dating different types of guys. And I was I'm going to date a nice guy. I'm going to date somebody, even though it feels weird. I'm going to take myself out of my comfort zone.
A whole episode could be on your past, not even just
we're going to talk about this. This is going to be a fucking episode. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the highs and the lows of my dating life.
I really feel we need to. That's going to be the next episode.
So I remember, like I said, I had met this man plenty of times before. It was 3 or 4 times I've met him over the years, but I was so not interested in him, so much to the point where I remember I was getting ready for our date and I was curling my hair and I remember saying to myself, he's short. because I don't know why I remember him being fucking short. So I remember thinking to myself, I'm curling my hair, I'm like, look, like this is our first date in like 4 months, like real date. So I was like, this is my first real date in months. Like he's gonna be short. But I did know the one thing I do remember about this guy is that he's really nice and he knew how to treat girls well. Like
he figured, I've been doing all the wrong thing. Let me go out somebody
let me
not be 100% interested in.
Exactly. And I was like,
get it going.
When we were talking, we hit it off so well. And I was like thinking to myself, man, like I get along with this guy so well. I feel like I know him already, but he's really short. I don't know why I thought my husband was like 5'7". I'm not gonna lie. I thought he was a fucking like tiny guy. I thought Julio was 5'7". I swear to God, I could have put my hands to the fire. I thought he was 5'7" because I was curling my hair and I'm like, dude, all right, look, you don't date, you don't like short guys. Yeah, I was like, you don't like short guys. That's okay. We're looking at personality now. Fuck this shit, you know? I was like, poor Julio. He's going to be a nice guy and you're going to give it your all. You are not going to shut him out just because he's not your type. You are going to try, right? You give him a chance. Homegirl, he picked me up, and this is what I mean. There must be Jesus. I know there's Jesus because not only did I fucking like this guy so much, I felt instantly like almost like at home. That's the only the feeling I can describe. I felt very at home with him. When he picked me up, he came to my door. He texted me. Mind you, I could hear his loud ass car from around the corner.
That car.
He picked me up from our first date, and this is the first time I'm seeing him in person.
Not in person, but like.
I mean, like one-on-one by ourselves and paying attention
romantically.
Yeah, try to see him romantically.
Because before, when you're not interested in a guy, because he had that girl with him, you kind of don't even.
I wasn't even looking his direction.
It doesn't look.
Mind you, I literally had almost an hour conversation with him at this party in September. That should tell you how uninterested I was.
Yeah.
Back in September, we had. 5'7". I don't know why, and we were standing up. Yeah. So then he shows up, and homeboy is 6'2", and like literally when I met my husband, he was super into his fitness. He was ripped, and I'm like, chef's fucking kiss, dude. Thank you, Jesus. So we going on this date, and then the rest is history. Him and I moved in together.
Moved quick.
We had a super whirlwind romance.
February,
it was amazing.
No, that's March.
Now this is March 2015.
That's when you guys get together.
We get together, and then July 2015 we move in together. He proposes Thanksgiving.
November.
Yeah, Thanksgiving 2015, and then a month later, December, we get married by court, but we don't tell anybody.
Yeah, no one really knew about that.
No,
one.
just
you
admit
it.
Just
you didn't, and not like I guess.
No, because we were planning a wedding at this point. We just wanted our wedding to be the spotlight. We eloped privately with just our family, close friends.
It's easier that way too.
Yeah, it was really nice, and it took the pressure off of like we just had fun planning the wedding. Mm-hmm. That's why we had so much fun at our wedding. So we get married. Technically, we're officially married 2015. So I was 24, he was 25.
Yeah,
but we got married by church, which is the anniversary we celebrate.
For sure.
In 2016, I was 25, he was 26. So I feel like there's a few things. I think just even touching on that story, like tells you a few things. I had decided to make an active change in who I was as a person.
Here's the thing though. You were, from what I'm gathering from the story and from what I know, you had kind of lived out all that immaturity already. So when you got with him, you were, like you said, this is it. I'm going to give him a chance. That's not something anybody else would say. Somebody else would be like, you're a 5'7", not even gonna give you a fucking chance.
Exactly. Don't leave ghost you. Don't hit up my line.
So it shows you already like how you lived out
the immaturity. I got it out. Like,
I mean, it's insane to me how,
is the exact thing about it. I feel like when you're not looking and when you're ready, you're like, God will send you the person that you're meant to be with. Because let me tell you, had I trying to get together with Julio even just the year before, we would have never lasted. He was way too mature for me.
No,
I would have been picking fights. Like you said about picking fights, I would have just the drama. I live for the drama in a relationship and the fighting because it's almost like if you don't fight, what are you doing?
Because there were some guys that you had just had like a couple dates with that I remember thinking that they were really like mature, classy men, and you were just like, nah,
exactly,
too cool for me, or too.
Do you remember the guy who used to bring me McDonald's every single morning?
I remember him.
And bring me roses too, and I was just like,
you're too nice.
Too nice. You don't like. I would try to pick fights with them, and it would just not happen. Yeah. Oh my God, the chase, just like in the movies, and we're gonna have like this heartfelt romance. It's like nothing. All of that
I did with Ethan too. I did all of those things.
That's exactly what I mean. Like that's exactly.
Before I got to,
had I gotten married at 19, that's exactly what my relationship would have looked like.
Yeah.
So I feel like the big difference here, it's not even so much like that we were able to financially support ourselves and like get off our feet and stuff together. I feel like because a big part, I feel like this is why I give my husband a lot of credit. I give myself a lot of credit, but I also give my husband a lot of credit because I feel like my husband has helped shape me a lot as a person.
Oh, I agree. He kind of put you on the right path, right?
Yeah, put me on the right path and gave me confidence. But I also, in my defense, like I always say, is like, I made myself a moldable person. I was willing to learn. I was willing to be taught. I was willing to take advice and not take it as criticism.
You two met each other at the perfect time in both of your lives.
Exactly. Like he's always been a very, very independent person from a young age. So for him, like you said, dealing and surviving and just figuring out how you're going to pay the bills, that's like a Tuesday. You know, that's not a problem. For me, it wasn't like that. But like, even like with school, like this is why, like, mind you, I did that. I got my degree after like, you know, not fucking flunky out of all my classes and shit. I fucking got on the honor roll. I got myself into, I got into the honor society. I did all that. I had to write those papers. I had to study, but I would have never been able to do it if it wasn't for my husband.
100%.
Like he gave me, you know what it was? I felt like
he was
school, you
like
missed the boat.
He was like at a light at the end of your tunnel where you're like,
absolutely.
Oh, so
absolutely.
there is an end to all this. I can go towards the end.
And not just that, like, I feel like the big thing too is like, I used to feel like if you didn't go to college, you kind of missed the boat. And it's like, you hear about people going back to college later on in life, but it's like, that's not me. If you missed the boat, you missed the boat. Or I always felt like college was for really, really smart people. And like, that just wasn't me. And like, I'm not like smart. And like, my husband's extremely intelligent. So I always felt like, oh, okay, well, that's just not my path. It was my husband who was like, no, it's not that they're smart. It's you got to know how to study. You got to know how to put in the work. Like that's the thing. I feel like my husband gave me so much confidence as a person. He gave me confidence in myself as like, not just like with studies, and he made me feel really smart, almost to the point where I believe now that I have above average intelligence. Like I can truly believe that. He gave me confidence in myself as a person and like gave me this outsider's perspective I had never seen of myself and like helped me build up my self-esteem to the point where I was like, oh, I can do these things. Oh, you know what? Now I'm not just like going to finish city college. I'm going to transfer to university. And you know, I'm not going to just finish up my degree finally. I'm going to get on the fucking honor roll. He's the one that was like helping me with figuring out grad school and all these other things, right? Like, I feel like that's the difference when you meet somebody a little bit later on in life, because we're still young, right? Relatively to the way people like marry and stuff now. But I feel like that's the difference when you happen to meet somebody at like
at a more mature age.
At a more mature age. Like your goals are different. Like, right, where you say as like the beginning is just trying to survive and figure things out. For us, so it's like similar, but in a different sense of
you
like,
can almost look towards your future more. Whereas I was for the first couple of years, I was very stuck in the present. And I couldn't even think like the next week ahead because I didn't know where the hell we were going to be.
Yeah, exactly. And like you can, like you said, you can look more to the future. And here's the thing, like your goals and stuff are going to constantly change with the person that you're with because you change as a person. But you're able to start realistically working towards those things. I remember when I met my husband, he was still in RN school. And so we were like dead fucking broke. And I wasn't working, so he was working on the weekends as a detox person. At a detox clinic.
Yes, I remember that.
He worked graveyard shifts. It was a fucking mess, but I remember he got paid. And then I remember when he moved up to home care because he technically like had done already. He was almost done with RN school, so they were paying him a little bit more. And even then, it wasn't that much. But I was like, I used to get so excited when that little $300 used to get deposited in his a paycheck every week. Oh my God, it felt amazing. But I remember like these things, like we helped build each other up because we were both at a place where we were both like almost like ready to like take a running start to our future. Because same with my husband, he's 26 years old and he was only barely graduating RN school. Now, I'm not going to say anything without his permission because I haven't asked him yet about like the things that held him back and the reason why he wasn't able to go to school and stuff right after high school. But for him too, it was like he had these set of setbacks, not like me where I just couldn't get my shit together, but he had his fair share of setbacks where it's like he got to the point where I was too, where it's like, all right, we fucked around enough. Now it's time to fucking run with our goals and it's time to run towards what we want because we want to get married and we want to have a family and you know, we know where we want to be. And I feel like knowing who you are marrying is such a big thing. Because we both kind of already, while I was still discovering who I was, I had a better sense of who I was when we got married. And I feel like that's part of the, like a big reason why like we've been able to kind of like roll with the punches on our marriage. And like you said, like different, right? Like our first year of marriage was nothing but fucking like bliss, right? Like I would say the hardest year of the 5 years that we're going on being married, I think the hardest year was year 5. That was probably the hardest.
Really?
COVID. When I was talking about the pandemic and then I had turned into being a stay-at-home mom, we had like plans with school and changing and like kids.
Too much change.
Lots of change. Adding that second kid and like, you know, like thank God we've always been good. Thank God for me, I feel like we've always been good.
Yeah.
But like Crystal and Julio are like Crystal and Julio, you know what I mean? Like we got to touch base. So like ever since we started doing date nights again, and this has been like a ritual for us for the last like 3 months, it's like we can't go without it now.
You can go, it takes you back to the days where like
it was just us and we just had fun. Like we're doing our first, oh my God, in like a week and a half, we're doing our first overnight trip without the kids.
I never got to see the day.
Him and I were like, damn, dude, what are we going to do with our time? No diapers, no bedtime,
like overnight
no
and
nothing.
Everything.
Yes. We're going to hang out and just be us. And like,
so fun.
I feel like this is the difference when you decide to marry somebody when you're ready. Because I don't think it has necessarily to do with when you're older, because there are plenty of people that are older and fall apart.
I think that there's a lot of people who mature at a younger age and some people that just couldn't imagine being ready for marriage at 28, 29. So it just, it depends on the person. But let's jump into this question. When do you think is the right time to get married then?
Are we putting a number to it?
No, just your personal preferences.
I think you should consider, and this is just general, because you have those stories where it's like you just met 2 weeks ago and it happened to work out and we're married for 50 years, right? When you know.
Yeah.
But I truly believe you can get married when you have a strong sense of self, when you feel less selfish, when you're ready to be less selfish, and when I feel like you have like this internal clock that tells you like almost like you're ready. Because when I kind of stopped partying and started like meeting my husband, I didn't miss it at all.
Honestly, Crystal, like if you had told me back like 6 months before you met Julio that you would be married this time next year, I would have fucking laughed my ass off.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Never believed you.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I mean. Like there has to be this like internal clock that makes you feel like you're ready, because while marriage is a very scary thing in itself, like when you think about it, yes, it is. Like you even said about being financially dependent on your husband. Like this is something I've talked with my husband about. It's like, while I 1,000% trust my husband, and if God forbid, I hope I don't sound stupid here, but God forbid something were to happen and we were to divorce, I think I could trust my husband to be a man enough to keep his word and take care of me until I'm able to get on my feet, right? Like, and I wouldn't let that be long, but I could trust him that he wouldn't just leave me hanging out to dry because, I have the kids. Putting myself in a financially insecure place because I have no income other than my husband. Yeah, that I trust my husband enough to say like right now, yes, I love you enough to do that. And yes, and that thought, marriage is very, very scary, but I feel like it almost shouldn't be scary. Yeah. Does that make sense?
I agree.
You should be willing to, like, when you're ready to throw down with somebody. I feel like, I know this sounds so cliche and I don't mean to sound this the way it's going to sound, but like, I feel like you should marry somebody, and I don't want to say like that's like your best friend, because people hop best friends every 5 seconds, but you should be with someone who feels like home, who feels like that feeling you get when you're at home, when you're just like, oh, I'm in my mom's house. Like for whatever reason, you feel like a little kid again and you feel like safe and you feel secure. Like, you know what I mean? Like, although you have the worry of the world, like that's how you should be with somebody, because you need to be with someone who you know is going to like, and I don't mean ride or die, like I'm going to cheat on her, she's going to be there, blonding. No, I mean like when your parents die, and you're down and out and you can't lift yourself out of bed, like you got somebody who's like, I got the kids. What do you need from me? You know what I mean? She's going through a hard time. Don't talk to her right now. Or like, let's get you there. Whatever it is. Like when someone loses their job, it's like, all right, what are we going to do? So let's pick it back up.
The right person.
Finding a partner and it's because sometimes I feel like marriage is so much more than love. It is like,
oh my God, yes,
it is 100%. So much more than love. It is like being down for somebody.
75% love, but 25% so much other shit that you don't even see coming.
It's respect. It's like it's dignity. It's integrity. But I feel like more than anything, it's being a partner to somebody. Like the way you would fight for like, I don't know, like two business partners to make sure that their business continues to grow and because it's their livelihood. That's the way you need to fight, like with your marriage and for the person that you're with.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like when you can understand that concept and understand that it's not all about you, and a matter of fact, this is going to be the first time in your life that it's not all about you, because I don't know. I think I've told you this, that like, this is like the same thing why they say before you have kids, you don't really like start living. I get that in the sense of like, because you don't know what it's like to be truly unselfish until you have children. Absolutely. Because you go completely out the window. But even if you're 30, even if you had your own bills to pay, let's say I'm an independent woman and I'm single and I pay, but I have this great job and I pay my own bills. I bought my own house. She got two. Yeah, exactly. INDEP. Like even then, your time is all your own. You are your only responsibility. Yeah. Like until you are fully responsible for somebody else and like their wealth, and not wealth isn't like money, but they're just their general well-being. That's when I feel like you're ready to get married, because that's what marriage is. It is it's really, really learning to put yourself aside for a second and be like, all right, what do you need? I'm good. What do you need?
Yeah, I would say that absolutely finding the right person.
I feel like you guys will understand us a little bit better now when we talk about our husbands and talk about like past and stuff like that.
But yeah, so I am super excited that we are back. Thank you guys so much for being patient with us when we were out and supporting us during our absence. We hope
and those really nice messages you guys sent Bianca. That was really cool.
So many sweet messages.
Your friend Kaylee, like it's so funny. I didn't realize that was the same person, but like she's like, yeah, the one I was like, I messaged you. Like she wasn't the only one. I got a few messages that are like, hey, I can't reach Bianca on her Instagram. Just wanted to make sure she's okay if she needed anything.
I didn't answer
that's
anybody.
So nice.
I was just not.
Yeah, I was like, damn, that was really nice.
I had a really bad headache the whole time. I was super like dizzy, not dizzy, but my eyes were like blurry because I wasn't wearing my glasses or anything either. So I just ignored my phone honestly for like 2 weeks. But I appreciate every single message and everybody who reached out, and thank you guys so much for supporting us during our month off. And but we are back and we are healthy and we are super excited.
30, flirty, and fucking thriving.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode. It felt so good to come back and talk to you guys.
And we will see you guys next week.
Peace out.